bullet. Okay. Who here has already done an IELTS test in the past? Already done IELTS? Okay, one. You done an IELTS test yet? Okay. Who has taken an IELTS class? You're in IELTS class right now? Teacher Jack?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, you said a couple of you would be here. Great. Well, I'm an IELTS instructor. See a little better this way. So, for some of you, this is going to be stuff you already know, but I would like to review the basics first of the IELTS test. Okay, 150 words at least. You're given a piece of visual information, a chart, a graph, a map, a process, and you have to describe the information in it. Now, it's a report, not an essay. We sometimes call it an essay, just for convenience, but an essay expresses ideas. And this is not about ideas so much as representing reality in as few words as possible. Okay, I don't need that. And it is graded under the band descriptors, just like task 2 is. However, there is a slight difference in how they are marked. What do they mean by band descriptors? Okay. Some other facts you'll want to know about task 1. It always uses the same set of instructions. It will tell you what you're looking at, and then after that, it will be a particular 2 sentences that you'll always see. Okay, now, there's a slight difference between task 2. There's certain things that you must do. You must include an overview. You must include some numbers, if there are any. You must use paragraphing. And there are some things you must not do. Namely, include opinions, irrelevant information off the topic, and you don't want to write it like a robot. You want to be mechanical in your style. Okay, now, one thing that's what people don't know about the way IELTS writing tasks are marked is that if you get there's 4 criteria for your score. If you get a 7, 7, 7, and 6, and you average those 4 together, and you get what? 6.75. Do you then get a what's your score? Is it 6.5 or 7? 6.5, right. They don't round up. You have to reach the number to earn the number. Okay. And it is 1/3 of your writing score. However, the exact formula that they use to mix the 2 scores together, they say it's 1/3 of your grade, and it should be that simple, but it's not. There's ways that they don't know if you round up or write down when they mix task 1 and task 2 together. IELTS is sort of mysterious. They like to keep secrets, and their people who work for them are sworn to secrecy. Okay, here's the band descriptors, and they're in there somewhere. I didn't staple them together. Okay, now don't bother reading them now, but most people, when they look at this, we're looking for this, they go, oh my God, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It's so full of information And the words are very confusing. Most people don't worry, we'll come to the rest of that stuff. You'll need all of that by the time it's finished. Okay, so what I want to look at here is how to get a better score in the two parts of the test that you can actually improve. And that would be the task achievement and the coherence and cohesion. Now, 4 categories, 4 criteria. Grammar. If you're taking the IELTS test in a month, there's not much grammar. You can improve your grammar in that time. But grammar and vocabulary are about how well you know English. And certainly, Educate can help you with that. But you're not going to improve quickly. However, the other 2 parts of the test, the task achievement and the coherence and cohesion, are just as much English knowledge as knowledge of how to approach the test. What to do. The first one is called task achievement. What does achievement mean?
It's like doing the things that as they said.
Right. Task achievement. Doing the job that is asked of you. Fortunately, it's always the same requirements. And here, okay, coherence and cohesion is things like making sure all of your ideas in a paragraph are well organized and that your ideas are connected together. And yes, you need a good level of English to do that, but it's not like vocabulary and grammar. Okay, so what we've got, if we look at task achievement, this is the one you can really affect. It doesn't say on here that band 6 is the easy way out, but that's what I call it. If you show them an overview of some things on the chart, okay, if you do that, if you do the basics of what they ask, you can get a test. You can get a band 6. If you get an acceptable mark, 7, you cover the requirements of the task. Your overview is clear. 8 is nearly perfect. You recover all of the requirements of the task sufficiently. And you don't just present the key features, you compare them and describe them fully and appropriately. And then there's full marks, fully satisfies all parts of the task. Now, and then there's 5. Don't forget about 5. This is where the robot comes in. If you write your essay like a robot, then you're going to get a band 5. Not an essay, your report. Okay. There it is, 5 again. Recounts. Recounts means repeats data mechanically. There is no numbers to support the description. Don't do it mechanically. And you must have an overview. And that's why we're here tonight. That's the subject of this talk. How to write the perfect overview. Okay. Look at these parts of the band descriptors. 6, 7, 8, 9. What term or words do you see in every single one? Requirements of the task. Yes. See that there? Okay. Requirements of the task. Addresses the requirements. Covers all, fully satisfied. Addresses. What does that mean? Addresses. The address at your house?
No, just address to keep something.
Yeah.
That's not something.
Yeah. If I'm walking down the street and I see you and I go, oh, hey, Colin, how are you? I address you. I talk to you. So here at 6, you talk to the requirements of the task, but you don't do anything more with it. Cover covers all and fully satisfies. Now, that's the question though, is what are the requirements of the task? Well, as I said, every task 1 has the same instructions, and it's there that we will find these requirements of the task. Every task 1 includes the following. Summarize information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. They all say that. Now, where are the requirements? What are the 4 verbs that you see in this slide, or in these instructions? Verbs. What's the first verb?
Summarize.
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 And
Select.
select.
Report. Support. Propose. Make.
Make.
Make comparisons.
Phrasal verb. Well, let's look at those. Summarize. Well, the dictionary describes summarize this way. It says to express the most important facts or ideas about something or someone in a short and clear form, in as few words as possible. Not just any information, but what? The most important facts. That's summarized. Well, how do you do that? Well, you have to select. That's the next thing you need to do, is decide which is important and which is not. That is why task 1 is more than an English test. It is a test of your intelligence, no matter what anybody says. Oh, it's just a language test. No. It is not just a language test. There is some testing of your ability to process information. Okay? Because that's what the academic world wants you to do. Okay? If you're here to learn about the task 1 in the general training IELTS test, like for immigration, I'm afraid you've come to the wrong place. In that test, you have to write a letter. There's no analyzing. Here you have to analyze and select. All right. Then you report. Now you do that in your body paragraphs, which come after the overview, so we're not looking at that too much today. Okay? And lastly, make comparisons. Which are the 4 things? Note where it says where relevant. Now, relevant is important here because relevant means about the thing we are talking about. About the thing at hand. What we're talking about at the moment. That's relevant. And what are we talking about in task 1? The most important information. So if you make comparisons between unimportant things, you're not fulfilling the task because it's not relevant. Okay? So I hope now you understand this sentence here. If you understand what it means and what it's asking you to do, and you check off in your head, have I summarized? If you write about everything on the page, you're not summarizing. Is what I picked, is that the most important thing? If I reported it correctly, and if I made comparisons. Okay? Those are your 4 requirements of the task. Okay, now, we look at again task achievement 5, 6, and 7, what do we see here? We see overview. Every single one says overview. And there we go. Now it's not backwards. No overview. Information appropriately selected. A clear overview. Now this word here, appropriate, the teachers when I was in school would always say, you need to act appropriately. Is that not appropriate would be, making lots of noise. It's doing the very least, the very most basic. If you swear, what I mean is that it's not hard to be appropriate. That's why it's only a 6. To get to a 7, you have to be aware of the trends, the differences, and stages. So what is an overview? What does that mean, overview? Well, it's only the most important part of task 1. It's only the key, that you're going to use to fully cover all parts of the task. Just in those 1 or 2 sentences, it shows how well you can select, summarize, and compare the most important information. That's where it happens in the overview. It's a paragraph of 1 to 2 sentences that describes the main features. That's the real thing. I remember the last time someone asked me, what is an overview? I don't understand. It was in class, right here. Not this classroom, but at EduLink. And my students had this graphic. What would be a good overview for this? Causes of worldwide land degradation. Okay, a pie chart. Okay, 35% cows. And I said, what would be a good overview for this? We looked at it. What's an overview? They asked. Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about that. Imagine that instead of a graph, it was a pizza. What do you notice about that? And you're over the pizza, you're over it, viewing it from above. What would you notice? What do you notice? First thing.
It's delicious.
How do you know it's delicious? You haven't tasted it yet.
It smells good.
Okay, there's no smelling on the paper.
The appearance. It's appearance again.
Just looking at it, what's the first thing you notice?
It's appearance again. Attract the viewer. That's a good.
Right. Yeah. Well, certainly that's why I chose the pizza so that you would be interested in it, as opposed to this, which is boring. But you see the same thing? It's the same thing. Okay. But all right. What's the first thing you notice? Come on, tell me. First thing. What? Back here. Oh, okay. Yeah. What was it? Tell me about. What did you see?
Which one is biggest and which one is smallest?
You can tell that?
Yes.
You can see?
Yes.
What did you see?
The vegetable pizza. The pizza made of vegetable is the greater part.
Really? Okay. How many pieces were there?
3 kinds of pieces.
Were they all the same kind of pizza?
No.
No.
So, if you just at a glance, oh, oops, oh my goodness, went all the way back to the beginning. Okay, all right. Okay, the most obvious answer of what can you see when you look at this is,
Pizza.
yes, it's pizza. Back to where we were.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes.
How many pieces?
Three pieces.
Okay, if you didn't see this, would you know which is bigger, chicken or cheese?
Chicken. Fresh.
How can you tell?
By looking. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a big difference in the sizes of the pizza?
No.
Okay.
That's cheese.
But the ingredient is different.
There you go. You got 3 different kinds of pizza.
Yes.
Okay? What do you notice? 3 pieces. They're about the same size and they're made of 3 different things. That's the overview of the pizza. I looked down, it's 3 pieces, about the same size. Okay? Same thing. Alright? So, if we were to write an overview for this pizza, it would be overall, there are 3 pieces of pizza. Chicken, cheese, and vegetable. And they are similar size. Okay? When you're looking at the main feature of something, sometimes it's the differences. Sometimes it's the fact that the things are the same or very similar to one another. That too is a comparison. Now, of course, task 1 is never just one graph, or it is sometimes one graph, but it's never just that simple. Along with the graph, there was this. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Oh, so complicated. What does it say? Okay, cause of land degradation by region, okay? This is the percent of land. We've got 3 regions over here. And then we got a whole bunch of different numbers. How do you find the main features there? Well, sometimes, just like you did with the with this part, sometimes it's useful to think of it in a different way. Okay? Now, in your overview, do you have to talk about both things? Yes, you have to talk about both things. Alright? Now, an overview that could compare the information here with the information here would be perfect. You can write, overall, it can be seen that overgrazing is the largest source of land degradation. Other is the smallest. That is other important information. By definition, the word other means not important. It's other. So that's not important. You can write one. You can say, over here, and let's see, and Europe had the most land, right? See? Highest. Oh, not here though. Here it's different. Okay? Alright? But it's certainly the most degraded. You can say that. You can compare this to itself, but what you want to try to do is compare this to this. How do we do that? Imagine instead of a table, you had a menu. No, it's same information, right? 3 groups. 3, here, 4. What do you notice about this? Look, deforestation. Just like the pizza, right? Here's my menu. Same information. When you look at the menu, What jumps out at you? What do you notice?
1 star, 5 star, 3 stars.
Okay, sure. Soup is the best. How about pricing?
Sandwich.
Okay. I promised Teacher Jack I wouldn't do this, but I lied. I'm going to do it anyway. Where is it? Aha. Yes. Imagine that you were in okay, does this look like a normal menu to you? If you went to a restaurant and they had this menu, what would you think? Go ahead.
Quite expensive than the others.
Yeah. What do you notice here? Yeah. One is
Not available.
yeah. Salad. What's most expensive?
Cheese.
Oops. Cheese. Right. Okay. Soup.
Did you catch that?
Bravo. Okay. Sandwich. But your friend is out there waiting in the car. He's going to come and ask you about this. You're going to ask, yeah. We're good here? Good. Yes. That's coming out of here. And, I know what to do. Whoa. Okay. Don't tell Jack I showed this. If we get sound, that's the thing. Nope, no sound. Okay, It's a headphone, right? Yeah. Nice. Okay. Good. Okay. Speakers. Excellent. All right. I give up. Oh, I see. Oh, I got the wrong thing plugged in.
Task achievement. So we know an overview is very important, but what actually is an overview?
You just
The
want
overview is 1 or 2 sentences which
Okay.
summarizes
Yes.
the main information shown on the graphic. But it's much more than that. It's the key to getting a really high score in task achievement. And it all starts with choosing the correct information and finding hidden information that might be not so obvious. Does this sound difficult? Well, no, we do it all the time. Imagine you were riding along with a friend in your car when he says, "I'm hungry." "Me too." "Let's get something to eat." "Hey, there's a place. Tell us one cafe." It's just open. I haven't been there yet." "Me neither." "Should we check it out?" Yeah, but where we find parking in this part of town?
There's no place to park.
We don't really know anything about this restaurant. How about this? I'll stay in the car, and you go in, check it out, come back here and present an overview. What? You know, present a clear overview of the main features, differences, or trends.
Ah, right, yeah, I know what you mean, gotcha.
Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features.
So he's going to go in the restaurant
Make comparisons.
and come back and give me an overview.
So we can think of the overview as the same as what you would tell someone about a restaurant with your first impression. Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Task One Cafe and Pizza Parlor. What I gonna get for you, eh?
What kind of pizza you got?
Well, I'm hot and fresh right now. I only got one pizza right now. Here, let me show you. We got pieces of the chicken, cheese, and vegetable pizza.
Is it the same price for each?
They're all around $3 each.
Alright, overview. 1, 2, 3 pieces. Chicken, cheese, and vegetable, right. Anything else?
Of course, have a look at our menu.
Right. Salad, soup, sandwiches. Same 2 ingredients as the pizza. Usual pricing. Right, stars, 1, 3, 5, got it. Thanks.
Forget about it. All right, so from the information contained in the restaurant, what can be clearly seen? Jack is about to give his overview. Joko doesn't know what is in the restaurant, and Jack can't possibly tell him everything, but he needs to say enough about the information, about the food, so that they can decide whether or not to eat there. So what do you think Jack is going to say? Oh, here's some hints.
Alright, overview. 1, 2, 3 pieces. Chicken, cheese, and vegetable. Right. Salad, soup, sandwiches. Same 3 ingredients as the pizza. Usual pricing. Right. Stars, 1, 3, 5, got it.
Remember, he's supposed to summarize the main ideas from the restaurant, make comparisons, note differences. What's he going to say? What would you say? Pause the video now and discuss with a partner. Or if you're by yourself at home, just talk to yourself.
Okay. All right.
What?
Stop.
3 pieces of pizza.
3 pieces. Don't look. Tell me, what do you think? What is Jack going to say when he gets back in the car? Eh? To work together? What is he going to say? And how do I stop this later? Down here. Okay. Discuss. Talk to your partner. What is he going to say? Mm-hmm. Alright, can you two tell each other? Overall, there are
3 pieces of pizza.
Yeah, okay.
And it's chicken.
Tell me, not me. Yes.
Chicken, cheese, and vegetable. They are all the same size, but I think and I suggest and it is good to buy chicken as vegetable.
Oh, now is that on the menu?
I don't know.
Oh, what's good to buy?
Because vegetable is not as delicious as chicken. So I think that's the same price, at same size. Maybe how about we buy
chicken,
a chicken instead of cheese and vegetable.
only mention about the
And there are some menus. For example,
Oh no. Okay. Back to our main show here. Okay. So overall, there's 3 pieces of pizza, all about the same size. What can we say about the table? The menu. Overall,
soup is the best.
let's hear a few. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Salad is the cheapest one.
Salad is the cheapest one.
Cheapest.
Okay.
And then the other soup. Non-soup and sandwich.
for 3 categories, they have only one. They have each only one piece versus food for 3 categories.
Right, so for each type of food, a different thing
Yes.
is the most expensive. That's interesting. Okay, that's worth knowing. Yeah. For salad, it's cheese. For soup, it's chicken.
Chicken.
And sandwich, it's vegetable. Okay. All right. So overall, it can be seen that there's 3 pieces of pizza, and they're all about similar price. Okay. And I'm going to make this work. I'm going to make this work.
By comparison, their salads, soups, and sandwiches have very different prices using the same 3 ingredients.
There's the second half of the overview. No, what have we done? We have compared, okay, this with this. Here we say it's the same, similar price, same size. Here we say it's different. That's a comparison between the 2. Now, we're not talking about pizza, are we? We're talking about degraded lamb. So for the first part, not pizza, not menu. Instead, okay, overall, what can we see? All right? How do I do it with this? With your partner, take a minute. Starting with the words overall, what would be your overview for these 2 items?
Overall,
Tell your partner. Yeah. You can just replace the words from the example up there. Overall, see that there are.
overall, I think Europe
There are 3.
is causing the most land degradation by regions.
There are 3
And not only that,
causes.
but also Europe
Remake
is
land.
has
Which
most
Right.
Yeah.
And
most
the
percent
effect is
of
about
deforestation
the same.
and over
Specifically, overgrazing is
over
made the highest
cultivation, over
Okay,
cultivation.
I understand. That's a detail. Okay, now the overview is the big picture. Okay, I really want to get people away from the idea of looking at the highest and the lowest, just reporting those. Instead, you want to look at how you can make comparisons, say between, yes, overgrazing is the largest. Save that for the details. Okay, that's for the details. Your overview is about the big picture. Here we could say,
Overall, it can be seen that worldwide, the three main causes of degradation of farmland, overgrazing, deforestation and too much cultivation, are somewhat equal in effect. By contrast, when looked at regionally, they vary tremendously in their relative proportions as well as their total acreage degraded.
okay, there's a lot of big words in there, okay? But here we say the effect is the same. Here we say the effects are very different. And in that overview, I have included everything, except for other. And other doesn't matter. Okay? What is it? In their relative proportions as well, total acre, this is also very different. So again, a great overview will compare between charts and try to cover as much as possible. Yes, overgrazing is the most, but all that tells you about is overgrazing. So overall, you need to, this is an overview for the overview. You need to identify features that allow you to show as much information as you can using the fewest amount of words. And you do this in the overview. And note, what does it also do? It describes the paragraphs that follow. You saw how that overview had 2 sentences? Your next paragraph, the third paragraph, will include the details from the first sentence. Your next paragraph, the fourth paragraph, the details, the numbers from the second half of the overview. Okay. As I said, that selecting the most important information is part of the task. Okay? Let your eyes work before you look at the numbers. If you tell me that you could tell that piece of chicken pizza was bigger than the other two, just at a quick look, I don't believe you. They look about the same size to me. Okay? It is not clear that that is the biggest piece. Let's look at some examples, some more examples. Okay, what do we got here? It's one of your pages. I gave you some paperwork here.
Yeah.
So again, before you read anything, let your eyes do the work. If you're just using your eyes without looking at any numbers, what do you see?
A map.
Map. Mm-hmm. What stands out on the map?
There are the transportation.
A lot of transportation, yeah, a lot of lines running through it. Okay, but these colors here. Mm-hmm. If this was your town, that's where you lived, how many townships are there? This is probably all one township. What do you notice?
Different stripes.
Oh yeah, okay, right.
Teacher 70. And we are the
Yeah,
teacher.
people use the transportation on lesson, present.
Okay, well, this is a picture, this is a map of a town, right? Okay? The town is in the shape of a bird.
Yeah.
If you look at this map, what's the first thing you see?
Map.
Huh?
Different township.
Yeah. Okay? How many parts of town are there?
3.
Yeah, you could say 3. Let's try to keep it at 2, though. Well, with task 1, no matter what you're doing, try to divide what you're looking at in 2 parts. If there's a graph and a table, that's easy. If one by one, that's 2 parts. How can you divide this into 2?
Help. We are the signals that shows
Yeah, well, first of all, what does it show? What do these things mean? Okay? What is this? 1868. This is the village that was developed between 1868 and 1994. Okay? And, see? Yeah. Where's this?
The whole part.
Here. Then, here.
Yes.
Then, 1922, 1970.
Those two first red wings.
Okay, and then,
1954.
so that's what it shows. We divided this into two parts. Would it make sense to divide it here? Yeah? First half, second half? Is that logical? Might be, you could. Someone tell me, please. What's the obvious way to just divide this map? Into? Halves. The right half? And the left half? What do we use when talking about maps?
Directions.
Yeah, so the
Northeast and west.
East and north.
there you go.
North and west. No.
What is this?
East.
East and west.
East.
West.
West.
Which is older?
North and south.
West.
The west. Right. Okay. Then we want to find ways to make comparisons. If you don't divide it in two, you can't make comparisons. So overall, the west part of town is than the east part. What can you say? Older. Yeah. This part of town was built this time. This part of town is new. Comparisons. Remember, summarize, select, report, and compare. But that's not the best information you can see here. Okay. Oh, that's a much clearer picture. Sorry. Clearer picture. In your overview, do you think you're going to include any information about the park and golf course? Should you put that in there?
No.
Why not?
It's not that.
It's not important information. Okay. How about that the roads make a hashtag? Is that important? No. What's important?
The time that the town developed.
Let's look at what happened. Okay. Here's the west part of town. In the west part of town. How did the town grow? At first, the town grew which direction? It went from here to here. It grew that way. What direction is that?
North.
South.
Not to south.
North.
Yeah, okay, you can say it grew from north to south.
And
Okay.
east.
There's another word that we use. This is a good one when dealing with maps. Okay? Here I'm going forwards. Here I'm going backwards. Okay? So I'm going towards you. We use the word wards, or the suffix wards, at the end of the word to talk about that direction. So it grew backwards, downwards. Did it go downwards? It didn't go downwards. That's not down. That's sure, of course.
Southward.
Southwards, yeah. So how did it just go any direction, or did it follow a path? Yeah, it followed. Come on, up along the
Northward.
the road. Yeah, along the road. Okay, then what happened? Then
Station.
it grew along the
Not the railroad.
The railroad.
Also the railroad.
Great. Okay, so now, this is the other part of tariff. 1970, 1994. How did it grow? It grew along, yeah,
Railway.
along the motorway. Okay? So, what have we got? The overview. What can you say about this map? Overall, we can see that the town grew first in the west, right? What can we say?
Straight the west part.
The west part is older. It grew first. Okay? Now, we're looking for a way to compare west part older, east part newer, but also to say a way that they're the same. The way that they grew, what's the same about it? They both grew how?
It grew along with the rain, along with the sun.
Yes. Perfect. Absolutely. Overall, it can be seen that the village at first grew in the west, along the main north-south road, and an east-west railway line. Okay? All right. The eastern part of town is newer. Make comparisons. And developed along the motorway. Oh, great. That's going to get you 7 right there. You can do that. Look for ways to compare and summarize. Now, if you want an 8 or a 9, you're going to need to use a little bit better English than this. Railways, motorways, roads, transportation. Okay? To test your vocabulary, they will ask you to say it grew along transportation. Here's a band-aid. From the districts portrayed on the map, it can be clearly seen that Chorleywood's expansion was shaped by the building of transportation infrastructure. That's what a railway is, what a motorway is. It's infrastructure. And the town grew along with the transportation. Okay, let's do a couple more. Look for ways to combine data together. Trends. What's a trend? Trend is a difference over a period of time. There's no one watching anyway.